Hello, my name is Sarah Hessel, and today I will be discussing the leadership book I read called Shoe Dog. So one of the quotes that I really liked from this book that I believe really shows the motivation behind this book was like this quote right here. It says, "Like all my friends, I wanted to be successful. Unlike my friends, I didn't know what that meant. Money? Maybe. Wife? Kids? House? Sure, if I was lucky. These were the goals I was taught to inspired to. And part of me did aspire to them, instinctively. But deep down I was searching for something else, something more. I had an aching sense that our time was short, shorter than we ever know, shorter as a morning run, and I wanted mine to be meaningful and purposeful and creative and important, above all, different. I wanted to leave my mark on the world. I wanted to win. No, that's not right. I simply didn't want to lose." This quote was written by Phil Knight. He is the man who developed Nike. So the book Shoe Dog is an autobiographical story about the journey of Phil Knight, the creator of a massive sportswear company, Nike, which started with a single guy with a passion for selling shoes out of the trunk of his car. The book was written as a first-person retelling of events with commentary as to what he thinks of the events now. While the book centers on the building and development of Nike, the reader also learns more about what it takes to be a successful leader and what it means to fail. The book begins with Knight returning to his childhood home with little to no life plan after getting his master's degree and serving in the military for a year. He did, however, have this crazy idea that had been stuck in his head ever since he wrote a paper about it in undergrad. His idea was to import Japanese shoes. He also had this dream of traveling the world to explore each other's culture's understanding of what they believe God is. So, to fulfill both his dreams, Knight borrowed money from his father and went on a trip around the world, starting in Hawaii and then going to Japan. Along this trip, he convinced a Japanese shoe factory that he was from a company in Oregon that could sell their shoes, even though he had no company. Knight sold the shoes out of the trunk of his car, relying on his connections from being a collegiate track runner and the connections of his famous track coach, who soon became his partner. Knight then spent years ordering bigger and bigger quantities of shoes, each time selling them faster than they could order more. Knight believed that if the company was not growing, it was dying, and he always pushed the limit as to how much money he owed people. At one point, Knight owed over $1 million, and banks were refusing his business. Eventually, after 40 years of building the company and becoming the CEO of Nike, Knight retired and still maintains a personal connection with every athlete endorsement he made, and he lived a modest life even though he was worth roughly $10 billion. Throughout the book, there were three main key takeaways I took away from it. The three key takeaways the reader learns about leadership from this book are to have a passion for what you are doing, to build relationships built on trust, and to always remain rooted to who you are. Throughout the book, Knight always perseveres through many trials and tribulations because he believed in what he was doing and he loved it. He took no salary from the company until he believed that his company could afford it. And he worked second jobs to be able to feed income into the company. While Knight was building Nike, he was relying on people he trusted to help him. He had old college teammates and coaches helping to design and sell shoes. He even borrowed money from the parents of one of his most trusted employees. Whenever he looked to hire someone new, he always sat down to eat with them first and got to know them. Knight built his team based on his intuition and the level of trust he felt for people. And because of that, they trusted him back and bought into the mission of his company. Even though Knight ended up making billions of dollars, he still lived an average-looking life, which consisted of going to the movies with his wife. It is also clear throughout the book that one of the biggest regrets that Knight has about the time he spent building Nike was that he did not spend enough time with his family, and with his two sons in particular. Unfortunately, there was a growing divide between him and his two sons based on how much time he spends at the company and not with his kids. And when one of his kids unfortunately died in an accident, it really made him see that he had missed many opportunities to spend time with his kids. But even still, he made sure every night to tell them a story before bed because he wanted to have that family relationship and he knew that he wanted to spend more time with them. Overall, I really enjoyed reading this book because it provided me an insight into a company that I'm very familiar with, and it provided an honest retelling of the development of a man becoming a leader. I feel as though I understand the company better, and I understand how difficult it is to start up a company and make it successful. I believe that others should read this book because it is an interesting story and can help them become better leaders. What I found most useful from reading this book was the commentary provided by Knight himself. The book presents itself as a retelling of events, but Knight also provides little commentaries about his decisions or actions from his point of view as he is writing the book. I found this useful because it provided an insight as to which decisions he regretted, which he was proud of, what he would change, and what he would keep the same. He points out mistakes that he made and regrets that he has, which makes me trust in the leadership advice I was gaining from reading this book. It provided a sense of authenticity to what he was telling me. Moving forward, I do think that reading this book has changed my future actions because just like Knight's employees, I have bought into what he's telling me. I believe in the 3 key takeaways that I got from reading this book, and I will implement them into my leadership style and my everyday life. I want to dedicate myself to my passions, build relationships built on trust, and always above all remain rooted to who I am. I believe going forward, especially in my future career as a physician, these 3 takeaways will help me because I will need to be an effective leader of an entire team of medical professionals, and if I fail, someone could die. I already have a strong passion for helping people and becoming a physician, but I will use the knowledge I gained from this book to help myself continue to fight to become a great physician no matter what anyone tells me. I also want to make friendships and relationships with my medical team where they trust me to make decisions in the best interest of my patients, and I trust them to do the same. I know too many physicians that use their authority as a physician as an ego boost. I never want to fall into that trap. I will use Knight's example and always remember who I am and where I have come from. Overall, Shoe Dog is a very interesting story about a well-known company, and I would recommend it to anyone interested in learning about leadership and/or the history of Nike. Thank you.